when I lost myself in love. I did not even notice it was happening. I thought I was being a good wife. A devoted woman. A partner who understood sacrifice. But one quiet night, while sitting alone at the edge of my bed, I realized something painful. I did not know who I was anymore. The mirror in front of me showed a woman with tired eyes. Her hair was tied back the way he liked. Her clothes were chosen the way he preferred. Her smile, practiced. And for a long time, I thought that was love. You see, when you love someone deeply, you slowly start bending. Just a little at first. Then a little more. You stop arguing. You stop insisting. You stop dreaming loudly. You say, it's okay. Even when it is not okay. And that is how I disappeared. Not in one big moment. Not with a loud fight. But softly. Quietly. Like a candle that keeps burning. Until there is nothing left but smoke. This is my story. The story of how I lost myself in love. And how I found my way back. I met Arav when I was 24. He was not loud. He was not dramatic. He was gentle. That is what I liked most about him. We met at a friend's wedding. I was helping in the kitchen, arranging sweets on silver trays. He walked in looking for water. He smiled at me and said, "Are you working or hiding from the crowd?" I laughed. That was the first time someone saw through me so easily. We spoke for only 10 minutes that day. But something stayed. He was respectful. He listened when I spoke. He did not interrupt. That felt rare. After that wedding, he found my number through our mutual friend. He called 2 days later. "I hope I'm not disturbing you," he said. His voice was calm. Almost shy. We began speaking every evening. Nothing dramatic. Just small talks about our day. He worked in a private company. Long hours. Big dreams. I worked at a small school. Teaching children how to read. I loved that job. He used to say, "You have a soft heart. That's special." And when someone tells you that, you feel seen. After 8 months, he asked to meet my parents. Everything moved quickly after that. Families met. Horoscopes matched. Smiles exchanged. We got married within a year. Our married life began in a small rented apartment. 2 rooms. A narrow balcony. It was not big. But it felt warm. In the beginning, everything was sweet. We cooked together. We laughed over burnt rotis. We watched old movies on weekends. At night, he would rest his head on my lap and say, "I feel peaceful with you." And I believed that was enough. I adjusted easily. He liked less salt in food. I changed it. He liked the curtains closed at night. I closed them. He preferred quiet evenings instead of visiting friends. I stopped going out much. It did not feel like sacrifice then. It felt like love. That is how it starts. Small changes. Tiny shifts. You tell yourself, this is marriage. And maybe it is. But slowly, I stopped noticing my own preferences. I loved singing in the kitchen while cooking. He once said, "It gives me a headache after work." So I stopped singing. I loved wearing bright colors. He said softly, "You look more graceful in lighter shades." So I folded away my red and yellow dresses. I told myself it was normal. Because he never forced me. He never shouted. He just expressed. And I adjusted. After 2 years, he got a promotion. We moved into a bigger apartment. New furniture. Better neighborhood. I was proud of him. Very proud. But with the promotion came longer hours. More stress. More silence at dinner. I would wait for him every night. Food ready. Table set. Sometimes he would say, "I already ate with clients." And I would smile. "It's okay," I would reply. But inside, something small would sink. I left my job after our son was born. Arif suggested it gently. "Only if you want to," he said. "But the baby needs you more." I wanted to continue teaching. Just part-time. But I saw the hope in his eyes. He believed a mother should be fully present. So I said yes. I told my principal, "I'll be taking a break." She asked, "Are you sure?" I nodded. I was sure. Or at least I thought I was. Motherhood filled my days completely. Diapers. Milk bottles. Sleepless nights. I loved my son deeply. But somewhere in between, I forgot the woman who once had her own classroom. Her own salary. Her own space. Arif would come home tired. I would listen to his office stories. His achievements. His frustrations. He rarely asked about my day. Maybe he assumed it was the same. And maybe it was. One night, while feeding our baby, I asked softly, "Do you think I should start teaching again next year?" He did not look up from his phone. "We don't really need the money," he said. "It's not about money," I whispered. He smiled faintly. "You're overthinking. Just relax." And that was the moment something shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Because I realized my dreams were now optional. His were important. Mine were flexible. I told myself I was being selfish to even think this way. After all, he worked hard. He provided everything. And I loved him. I loved him enough to silence myself. Scene cue, night silence. Clock ticking. Woman staring at ceiling. Years passed like that. 5 years. Then 7. Our son grew. Started school. I remained home. I managed everything. School meetings. Grocery lists. Doctor appointments. People often said, "You are lucky. Your husband earns well." And I would smile. Yes. I was lucky. So why did I feel empty sometimes? Why did I feel invisible? Even in my own house? I pushed the thought away each time. Because good wives do not complain. Good wives adjust. Good wives are grateful. At least that is what I believed. But love should not erase you. I did not know that yet. And the real test of my heart was still coming. The changes did not come like a storm. They came like slow winter. Quiet. Almost polite. Arif was still kind. He still provided. He still asked, "Did you eat?" But something between us began to thin. Like fabric that has been washed too many times. Our son, Kabir, was now 8. He would talk about school. His friends. His small victories. I listened carefully. Arif listened too. But only halfway. His phone stayed near his plate. Face down, but never far. Sometimes it would light up. He would glance at it quickly. Then he would say, "I need to leave early today." There was always something. A meeting. A client. A deadline. I understood. At least, I tried to. One morning, Kabir asked, "Papa, will you come to my school play?" Arif smiled without thinking. Of course. But on the day of the play, he did not come. Kabir searched the crowd from the stage. I saw it in his eyes. That small drop of hope. After the play, Kabir asked me quietly, Did Papa forget? I said softly. He was busy, Beta. He tried. But I did not know if he tried. That night, when Urav came home, I told him gently. Kabir looked for you today. He sighed. You know how important this project is. I nodded. But something inside me whispered. When does family become important? I did not say it out loud. We used to sit in the balcony together. Just 10 minutes before sleeping. Talking about nothing and everything. But slowly, those 10 minutes disappeared. He started taking work calls late at night. Sometimes he would walk into the other room. Close the door softly. I told myself. It's just work. One night, I walked toward the room to give him tea. I heard him laughing. A light laugh. The kind I had not heard in a long time. When I entered, he looked surprised. Oh. I was just talking to Nisha from the office. He took the tea without looking at me. She's handling the new campaign with me. I smiled. That's nice. I walked back to the kitchen. I told myself not to think too much. But that laugh stayed in my ears. It felt unfamiliar. As if it belonged to another version of him. We did not shout. We never threw harsh words. But our disagreements became colder. Once I said, You don't sit with us anymore. He replied calmly. I'm doing this for us. I wanted to say. We need you, not just your money. But I swallowed it. Another evening, I asked. Can we go somewhere this weekend? Just the three of us? He rubbed his forehead. I'm exhausted. Why don't you take Kabir? So I did. We went to the park. Kabir ran around laughing. I sat on a bench watching other families. Fathers pushing swings. Mothers holding hands. And I felt something heavy in my chest. Not anger. Just absence. One afternoon, I found one of my old notebooks while cleaning. It had lesson plans. Poems I used to teach. Small notes from students. Best teacher, one child had written. I sat on the floor holding that notebook. For a moment, I remembered who I was. That evening, when Urav came home. I said carefully. I was thinking of applying to a nearby school. Just part-time. He did not look happy. Why now? He asked. Kabir is older. I have time. He paused. Who will manage the house? I will, I said quickly. I always do. He shook his head slowly. It will create unnecessary pressure. We're stable like this. Stable. That word felt like a cage. I tried once more. It would make me happy. He looked at me then. Are you unhappy? I froze because I did not know how to answer. If I said yes, it would hurt him. If I said no, it would hurt me. So I chose silence. I'm just thinking, I whispered. And that conversation ended. But something inside me did not. Arav mentioned Nisha more often. She's very efficient. She understands things quickly. She stays late when needed. The words were simple. But the tone had warmth. One evening, I asked softly. Is she married? He looked at me sharply. Why does that matter? I was just asking. He sighed. You're overthinking again. That sentence. You're overthinking. It made me doubt myself every time. Maybe I was imagining distance. Maybe I was insecure. So I tried harder. I cooked his favorite dishes. I dressed the way he liked. I kept the house perfect. I even started staying up late to wait for him. Sometimes he would say, You don't have to wait. But I wanted him to notice. To choose me again. One night, it was raining heavily. Kabir was asleep. The power went out for a few minutes. The house was dark and silent. I sat by the window, watching the rain. Arav was in the bedroom, texting. The light from his phone lit up his face. He was smiling. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was fear. I walked in and said quietly, "Can we talk?" He looked annoyed. "Now?" "Yes. Just 5 minutes." He locked his phone and put it aside. "What happened?" I sat at the edge of the bed. "I feel like I'm losing you." He stared at me. "That's dramatic." "I'm not trying to be dramatic," I said softly. "I just feel alone." He exhaled deeply. "I work all day for this family. And instead of appreciating it, you create emotional scenes." His words were calm. But they cut deep. "I'm not creating a scene," I whispered. He lay down, turning away from me. "Please don't start this again." That night, I did not cry loudly. I just lay awake, listening to the rain. And I realized something painful. I was begging for emotional crumbs. From the same man who once said. He felt peaceful with me, the next morning felt colder. Not outside. Inside. He left without saying goodbye. Kabir noticed too. "Are you and Papa fighting?" "No," I said quickly. "We never fought. We just drifted. Like two boats tied with a rope." That was slowly wearing out. I began noticing more. The way he protected his phone. The way he avoided eye contact. The way he seemed lighter at work. And heavier at home. And I began noticing myself too. The way I walked carefully around him. The way I edited my words. The way I tried to be smaller. Love had once made me glow. Now it made me shrink, and yet I still loved him. That was the hardest part. Because loving someone, while slowly disappearing, is the quietest kind of pain. I did not know then that a single evening would soon change everything. Not with shouting. Not with broken plates. But with truth. Soft. Clear. Unavoidable. The evening that changed everything did not begin differently. It was ordinary. Rice was cooking on the stove. Kabir was finishing his homework. The television was playing softly in the background. And I was waiting. Waiting had become a habit. Arav had messaged that he would be late again. "Client dinner," he wrote. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I placed the phone face down. I do not know why, but that night felt heavy. Like something invisible was about to fall. Around 10:30, my phone vibrated again. It was not from Arav. It was from an unknown number. For a moment, I thought it was spam. But something made me open it. There was a single line. "Ma'am, I think you deserve to know." Below that, a picture. My hands began to shake. The image was simple. Arav sitting at a restaurant table. Across from him, Nisha. They were not touching. They were not doing anything dramatic. They were just sitting close. Too close. Leaning in. Smiling in a way that felt familiar. Too familiar. I stared at that picture for a long time. My heart did not break loudly. It just sank. Like a stone dropped into deep water, Kabir came into the kitchen. "Ma, can I sleep?" "Yes, Beta," I said softly. I kissed his forehead. He did not notice my trembling hands. After he slept, I sat alone at the dining table. The food had gone cold. The house was very quiet. I kept telling myself. It might be innocent. It might be work. Maybe someone misunderstood. I wanted to believe him before even asking him. That is what love does. It protects the other person. Even when your own heart is afraid. Arv came home at 11:15. He looked tired. He loosened his tie and said, "You're still awake?" I nodded. Yes. He walked toward the bedroom. "Long day," he muttered. I followed him quietly. "Arv, can we talk?" He stopped. Not annoyed this time. Just cautious. "What is it?" My voice felt distant. "I received something." He looked at me carefully. "What?" I held out my phone. He looked at the picture. For a few seconds, he said nothing. Then he sighed. "It's not what you think." That sentence. The one everyone says. "It's not what you think." I asked calmly. "Then what is it?" He sat down on the edge of the bed. "We were just having dinner." "She's part of the team." "Why did someone send it to me?" He looked away. "I don't know." "Office politics." I sat across from him. "Are you emotionally involved with her?" The room felt smaller. He did not answer immediately. And in that silence, I got my answer finally. He spoke. "I didn't plan for this." My chest tightened. "But yes. I feel connected to her." The words were soft. Careful. But they were real. "For how long?" I asked. "A few months." "A few months." While I was cooking. While I was waiting. While I was shrinking. He rubbed his forehead. "It just happened. We talk a lot. She understands my stress." I swallowed slowly. "And I don't?" He looked at me with something like guilt. "You do. But it's different." Different. That word felt heavier than betrayal. Because it meant I was no longer enough. I did not scream. I did not cry loudly. I simply asked, "Do you love her?" He hesitated. "I don't know." That was worse than yes. Because it meant he was still choosing. Still deciding. And I was standing there. Like an option. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. But he already had. Not with the dinner. Not with the messages. But with the slow distance. That made me doubt myself. I stood up slowly. "Do you want to leave?" He looked shocked. "I didn't say that." "But do you?" He remained silent again. And silence, I had learned, can speak very clearly. Something changed inside me that night. Not anger. Not revenge. Just clarity. For years, I had bent myself to fit his comfort. I had left my job. My colors. My voice. And still, it was not enough. I looked at him and asked quietly, "When did you stop seeing me?" He blinked. "What do you mean? When did I become just the person who manages your house?" He opened his mouth. But had no answer. Because maybe he had not noticed either. Maybe he did not see how small I had become. I took a deep breath. I cannot compete with another woman for my own husband. He looked up quickly. "It's not like that." "It is exactly like that," I said gently. "I have been competing with my own silence for years." The words surprised even me. But they were true. I had lost myself long before he found someone else. He stood up. "I need time to think." I nodded. "So do I." That night, we slept on opposite sides of the bed. The space between us felt like a river. I stared at the ceiling. And for the first time in years, I did not blame myself. I did not ask what I could cook better. Or wear better. Or say better. I simply asked. Where did I go? And slowly, memory returned. The classroom. The singing. The bright dresses. The confident woman who once had dreams. I had buried her, thinking love required it. But love should not require disappearance in the morning. Arv left early. No goodbye. No plan. Just distance. Kabir sensed something. He hugged me tightly before school. Are you sad, Ma? I held him close. Just thinking. After he left, I stood in front of the mirror again. The same mirror from years ago. The tired eyes were still there. But something else was there too. A question. What if losing him was not the worst thing? What if losing myself was worse? That night did not end my marriage. Not immediately. But it ended something else. The version of me that accepted crumbs and called it love. The real decision was still ahead. The days after that night felt unreal. Nothing dramatic happened. No suitcases packed. No loud arguments. Just quiet distance. Arv moved through the house like a guest. Polite. Careful. Distant. And I moved like someone who had just woken up from a long sleep. Not fully steady. But aware, we spoke only about practical things. Kabir's bus is at 8. The electricity bill is due. Did you buy milk? Our conversations became lists. No emotions. No warmth. Sometimes I would catch him staring into space. Maybe thinking about her. Maybe thinking about us. I stopped asking. For years, I had chased answers. Now I was tired. One evening, after Kabir slept, he sat across from me at the dining table. I've been thinking, he said quietly. I waited. I don't want to break this family. The words sounded responsible. But not loving. I care about you, he added. Care. That word felt small. And her? I asked calmly. He closed his eyes briefly. I ended it. The sentence hung between us. Why? I asked. He looked surprised by the question. Because it was wrong. I nodded slowly. But do you miss her? Silence. Again. He answered honestly. Yes. That honesty hurt. But it also freed me. Because now I knew the truth. He had ended it out of duty. Not because his heart returned fully to me. That night, I did not cry. I did something different. I opened my old cupboard. The one where I had folded away my bright clothes. I took out a red kurta. It felt strange in my hands. Almost unfamiliar. The next morning, I wore it. When Orav saw me, he paused. You haven't worn that in years. I know, I replied softly. Kabir smiled. You look nice, Ma. That simple sentence warmed me more than anything else. 2 days later, I walked to the nearby school. My heart was beating fast. The principal was younger than me. She asked about my experience. As I spoke, something inside me came alive. My voice became steady. Confident. I was not just someone's wife. I was a teacher. She said. We need someone part-time. Can you start next month? I almost cried. Yes, I answered. On the way home, I felt lighter. Not because my marriage was fixed. But because I had chosen something for myself. That evening, I told Arif. I got a teaching job. He looked at me carefully. Are you sure this is the right time? Yes, I said. This is exactly the right time. He did not argue. Maybe he sensed something had shifted. Maybe he knew I was no longer asking for permission. When I began teaching again, our routine changed. I woke up earlier. Prepared Kabir for school. Prepared myself too. Standing in front of a classroom again felt like returning home. The children's laughter filled a space inside me that had been empty for years. At night, I was tired. But it was a different kind of tired. Not the tiredness of waiting. The tiredness of living. Arif noticed. "You seem happier," he said once. "I am," I replied. He watched me quietly. Almost as if he was seeing me again. One night, weeks later, he spoke. "I didn't realize how much you gave up." I stayed silent. He continued. "I think I got used to you always being there. Always adjusting." His voice carried regret. "I stopped seeing you as a person with dreams." The honesty was painful. But it was real. "I don't know how to fix this," he said softly. For years, I would have rushed to comfort him. This time, I didn't. "It's not only your responsibility," I replied. I also stopped choosing myself. That was the truth. Love had not stolen me. I had handed myself over willingly. Little by little. We began couples counseling. Not because everything was broken. But because we both needed to learn. To listen again. To speak without fear. The counselor once asked me, "What do you need?" The question shocked me. No one had asked me that in years. I thought carefully. "I need respect. And emotional honesty." Arif nodded slowly. He said, "I need to feel connected at home, not just responsible." For the first time in a long time. We were not accusing. We were understanding. He started coming to Kabir's events again. Even if only for 30 minutes. He left his phone outside the bedroom at night. Not because I demanded it. But because he wanted to. Sometimes we still felt awkward. Trust does not return in one day. But we were trying. And trying felt better than pretending. One evening, as I stood in the kitchen singing softly, I realized something. I was not afraid anymore. Not of losing him. Not of being alone. Because I had found myself again. And when you find yourself, you stop begging to be chosen. You choose yourself first. If he stayed, it would be by love. Not by duty. And if he left, I would survive. That was my strength now. Love is beautiful. But it should not shrink you. It should not silence your colors. It should not make you disappear. I once believed being a good wife meant adjusting endlessly. Now I know. Being a good partner means standing whole. Not half. Not small. Whole. It has been 2 years since that night. 2 years since the picture. Since the silence. Since the truth. Life today looks calm. Simple. But very different from before. Not because everything became perfect. But because I changed. Now my mornings begin with purpose. I wake before sunrise. I prepare breakfast. Then I prepare my lessons. Kabir is taller now. He talks more. Laughs louder. And sometimes, when he sees me grading papers, he says proudly, "My mom is a teacher." Those words heal parts of me I didn't even know were wounded. Arif still works long hours. That part has not changed. But some things have. He sits with us at dinner more often. He listens when I speak about school. Sometimes he asks, "How was your class today?" Small question. Big difference. Trust did not come back easily. For months, I would feel uneasy when his phone buzzed. Old fears would rise quietly. But instead of swallowing them, I learned to speak. Not accusing. Just honest. I felt uncomfortable when you left the room, I once said. He nodded. Thank you for telling me. We are still learning. But now the silence is not heavy. It is gentle. Comfortable. I used to believe love meant sacrifice. Now I understand something deeper. Love is not about disappearing. It is about standing side by side. Two complete people. Not one shadow and one light. For years, I thought my value came from how well I adjusted. How quiet I stayed. How perfectly I managed everything. But that kind of love slowly erases you. And when you disappear, resentment grows in silence. Not loud, but steady. One evening, Arv and I sat in the balcony again. Like we used to in the beginning. The sky was soft pink. The air was still. He said quietly, I'm grateful you didn't leave. I thought for a moment. I didn't stay because I was afraid, I replied. I stayed because I wanted to try again. But I would have survived if I left. He looked at me carefully. And I think, for the first time in years, he saw my strength. Not my obedience. My strength. Sometimes people ask me, what if he had left? I have thought about it. And honestly, I would have cried. I would have grieved. But I would not have broken completely. Because the real breaking had already happened long ago. When I stopped being myself. And the real healing began. When I chose myself again. That is the truth. If you are listening to my story right now. If you feel small in your own relationship. If you have folded away your colors. To keep the peace. Please pause. Ask yourself gently. Where did I go? Love should feel warm. Not suffocating. It should support your dreams. Not replace them. It should make you brighter. Not quieter. I still wear bright colors sometimes. Not every day. But when I do, I smile at myself in the mirror. I sing in the kitchen again. Sometimes Arv even joins me. Off key. But trying. We are not a perfect couple. We still disagree. We still misunderstand each other. But now, I do not shrink. I speak. Calmly. Clearly. And he listens more than before. Losing him would have hurt. But losing myself was worse. That is what I learned. I was lost in love. So deeply lost. That I forgot my own voice. But love is not meant to swallow you whole. It is meant to walk with you. Hand in hand. Not step over your dreams. Not silence your laughter. Just walk with you. Tonight, as I sit by the window, I feel peaceful. Not because everything is perfect. But because I am here. Fully. Completely. My heart still loves him. But it also loves me. And that is the balance I was missing. If there is one lesson my story holds, it is this. Love deeply. Care sincerely. Forgive wisely. But never disappear. To keep someone else comfortable. Because the right kind of love will never ask you to.